Indiana. Calbert Cheaney, the all-time leading scorer in Big Ten history, Indiana history, leaves the Pacers to become Indiana's director of player development. That is something that yesterday I said that while today's players are not going to know who Calbert is, I will guarantee you one thing: all of their fathers do. Right. I was talking to Ja'Kai Newton yesterday, one of Indiana's incoming recruits, and we'll have him on the show here soon. But I was talking to him about Calbert. I said, "Hey, I'm sure you saw the Calbert Cheaney news." Yeah. I said, "How familiar with him were you?" And he said, "I wasn't." He goes, "But my pops, man, lit me up." Said, "I've been on. I went to YouTube, man. It's like he's a baller," and that is exactly boom. When he's in a home, Jordan Hulls is in a home. Between Mike Woodson and Calbert Cheaney, you have 24 years of NBA playing experience. Now then you go to coaching. Woodson has, I forget how many years of just overall coaching in the NBA experience, but it's a long time. It's like 18, 20 years. Calbert's been with the Pacers the last couple of years, and he was, coaching for a few years before that. So this is where he wants to be. And I said with Bob earlier, Bob Kravitz, and I'll be saying it from now on, I think Calbert is their guy for the future. They want this to be smooth. You're not going to bring Calbert Cheaney in now, and in 3 years, it's because they hire a new coach, he's going to go find a new job. That ain't happening. I just do not believe that at all. So we'll deal with that down the road, but I just want to get that on record right now. Bam.
You unless you're discounting the upcoming Dusty May era, huh?
I Dusty. That's the thing with college athletics. Dust in the wind. It blows so, and that's not too dusty. It's just it blows so. 1 week ago, I was like, Dusty May or Michael Lewis probably. Well, because and don't forget Keith Smart.
Sure.
Keith Smart is also in great position for that. But Calbert now has something that none of them have: a role on the IU coaching staff.
Now, to be clear, he is the director of player development. He is IU said he is in a non-recruiting role, so he is not going to be one of these guys that's visiting people or being part of recruiting. His job is, or he probably will be in some way, but his job is going to be, when these guys get on campus, making them better basketball players. I actually thought it was interesting. That's right, John. I thought it was interesting that usually when these hires are made or you bring in someone, there's kind of like a statement that the team puts out. And it's kind of like a pat statement. We're very excited to make this hire. He'll do a great job. But I thought Mike Woodson actually went in depth in this statement they released, where he says, "I could not think of anyone better suited to be part of this program than Calbert Cheaney. Every team or program he has been a part of after his playing career, he has had an immense impact on. As a player in college and as a pro, his experiences are as good as it gets. Our players can ask him, how do you become successful when you get to college? What can I do to help my team win championships? What do I need to do to be an All-American or National Player of the Year? How did you become a first-round draft pick who played 13 years in the NBA? I think he can share his experiences of how teams expect their players to work every day and get the most out of their ability. He's done it. He's lived it. I don't think you'll find anyone who has a bad thing to say about him. He is a high-character individual who loves this program." That is a heck of a statement. Mike would say, like that is way beyond what you usually get when one of these hires is made. And they seem excited about this.
Well, you're not just bringing just anybody in.
No.
And I'm not saying that Jordan Hulls is just anybody, but You're bringing in the all-time leading scorer in the history of the Big Ten, a guy who played 13 years in the league, who was just uber success, who led Indiana on a run of success to the level of they have never had that they did not win a national championship.
Right. I think it's interesting too. This would have been a good hire even if he did not go to Indiana, right? Like, this is the guy who played in the NBA who was.
Now that's saying something there.
Because this is the guy who played in the NBA who was a director of player development for the Pacers, right? Like, you're getting someone from the NBA to do the job they were doing in the NBA in college. Like, that's even beyond him being an IU legend. That's significant, right? Like, you're getting someone from the NBA to do the same job in college. That's huge. And then you add on top of it that he is an IU guy through and through, from Indiana, played at Indiana, was National Player of the Year at Indiana, led Indiana to the Final Four. That's a big deal, right? And I just thought that was interesting. And of course, he was also here for two of the best years Indiana's had in recent memory as well. He was here in 2011-12 and 2012-13 under Tom Crean. He helped develop Victor Oladipo. He did that kind of thing. So this is a significant hire for Indiana, even if he will not be part of the larger recruiting operation. I'm sure he will have some role in it.
Well, yeah, he just doesn't have to go out. That's a
right.
Yes, they bring the recruits to him.
Yes,
it's like he's sitting on a throne here. Calbert Cheaney, we have brought you to Calbert Cheaney. No, I'm just kidding. But it's going to. Indiana is finally getting their ducks in a row, I guess I would say, after several years of basically wandering in the desert. I mean, if you want to know the truth, they have wandered through the desert in hires, with the program going in multiple different directions. Now they have a direction. You can say whatever you want to about Mike Woodson, but you have to say he has Indiana basketball on a trajectory that is not bad. It is an upward trajectory in recruiting, in play, in success from where they were back. You look back, the dark ages, not that long back. You don't have to go just a couple years back to the dark times, what I call affectionately the dark times at Indiana. But not only has he done that, and I think he's had, there's been timing has been great for that. The transfer portal Indiana is a program that NIL and the transfer portal have helped as much as Kansas State or any team like that, because Kansas State was able to immediately show some success, where in Indiana was a successful program that had just fallen on hard times because of these constant churning mistakes that they were making. Now you have a program that can return to I'm not going to say they can be what Indiana was year in, year out like they were, because a large part of that was Bob Knight. There's a reason you have runs like that with coaches. There's a reason Duke was like they were under Mike Krzyzewski. There's a reason the Packers were like they were under Vince Lombardi. Those things are not accidents. But someone asked a minute ago, daggone it, where did I go? About, am I not sold on Woodson's coaching because only giving him a couple. This has nothing to do with his coaching. I'm talking about, how long does he want to do this? He's third year coming up. Say you give him 3 more years. That's 6 years, man. College that's a lot of travel. Not as much as the NBA, of course, but man, he's got the money. He doesn't need it unless he simply likes it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need the travel. He doesn't need the headache of recruiting. And the biggest factor for me is why it's not as going to be as fun for someone in their 60s probably, is now you have to recruit high school kids, you have to recruit the portal, and you have to recruit your own kids every year, all three of those. Before, just 2 years ago, you were only recruiting high school kids. Now you've added 2 factors to that. So you've increased that by, a factor of 3. It's more work. It's more time, whatever. So that's why I say that, not anything to do with his coaching. I think that if he gets this thing going, keeps it going in the direction it is right now, they've got a pipeline starting up with Montverde to where they're getting some great guys, and they're on every kid there's list. If he gets them heading in that direction, man, walk away when you're winning. I think he can walk away. He didn't have to win a Big Ten championship. He has to have Indiana heading in that direction, and I think that they are right now already. Hell, they could have won a Big Ten title last year.
Yeah, if they don't start so slowly in the Big Ten, they would have contended for it at the end of the year. When Purdue started struggling, they would have been right there in the mix. I mean, they were anyway, but yeah, they were close. I would say that I thought it was interesting as well with the Calbert Cheaney hire, and Brett Rump up here in Fort Wayne on the Sports Rush made this point, which is that the timing of that is interesting right after signing Mackenzie Mbako, because Calbert Cheaney is a very Mackenzie Mbako-like player. Like that's who he was in college. What Mackenzie Mbako wants to be, what IU envisions for him, is the type of player that Calbert Cheaney was. And so that timing of that hire is really interesting to me, because he basically is one of his main jobs that I would guess would be get the most out of this dude who we believe is super talented, who we believe can be a star, get the most out of him.